Cheers. Cheers.
We are live, Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, everyone across the country. It's freaking Friday, and it's Riesling evening across Canada. Okay, believe me, because we have a killer Riesling here that we want to talk about. Mira Boucher, welcome, welcome. The last
Carl
20
Boucher. You know
minutes.
what they say? You know what they say? I mean, first of all, this Riesling just changed my whole day from like a 2 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. I gotta say, whoever has felt that before with a Riesling, you're in the right place. Because everything happens for a Riesling. That's what they say, right?
Love it, love it. This Riesling just had the same effect that a 94-point Chardonnay does to me. Okay, but you know what? And I felt it. I felt you had one sip and you changed completely because you were a pretty big pain in the ass 15 minutes ago, and
Yeah,
now
with
you're
the
the
uh with
sweet.
the
You
internet
are the
problems we've been having.
sweetest. You're the sweetest honey ever. Thank you, John Daniel. Thank you, Scott Moody. You changed my evening too. Ha ha. Mira, how's it going?
Good, good. I'm
Yeah,
glad that it seems like our internet's working tonight. So all y'all
I
who are
know,
about to
right?
stop by, all you Canadian wine lovers, all you Riesling lovers, when you see this, please confirm that you can hear us. Drop a note in the chat. Tell us, do you love Riesling? What's your favorite Riesling? Where are you tuning in from?
That's it.
Have
I
you
love it.
tried Horseshoe Cellars? I bet you haven't, unless you're Mike the average wine enthusiast, because he saw when Carl posted it on YouTube when he tasted this wine for the first time a couple months ago. Mike went ahead and ordered a case right away. And so he's one of the first in the country to try it. And he reports back, he told us on Wednesday that he very much enjoyed it. So stay tuned because you're going to hear what we think of it. I mean, it's not a big secret. We love it, and the winemakers are in the green room to tell us the whole story behind it. But you'll hear like Carl's more detailed analysis of this amazing new Riesling, why we're excited about it, Carl's score, and the actual full-on story behind this wine. And so, what better way to kick off your weekend than to talk about Riesling and Canadian Riesling and small batch Canadian Riesling and pretty much the kind of Riesling you can't get from anywhere else except through the winery itself and Carl's Wine Club this month. So, this is part of our Build a Case with Collab Wines. There's 7 small producers like Horseshoe Cellars. And the reason we love it is because I mean, you got to be passionate about wine to put together the kinds of wines that we've been tasting. And you can taste the terroir, you can taste the goodness and the super premium quality that I think anywhere else on the planet you'd be paying double, triple, quadruple what we're paying here. Like these wines are don't tell Scott and
Don't,
John
yeah, no,
Daniel
no,
about
no,
that
no, no.
part.
Let's keep it between
Okay.
us, guys, because we can't raise the price just yet. But
Next
this,
month they can
this
raise the
wine is
price.
fucking unreal. Okay, this is insane, and we just had a little sprinkle of Grimsby Hillside this week with the 94-point Chardonnay with the Frontier Block and Jeff Mood at Divergence, and now we're back with this time with the Riesling, and I can't wait because Scott has been with a different project working with Riesling, some of the best Riesling here in BC, in Kelowna, and I known John Danielle for quite a while.
If you guys were at our Pan Canadians, John Daniel has been to those.
Yeah, and
He spoke at the last one in Ontario, I think.
yeah. He was right with us at Shuan Staff, and so we have a ton to talk about because this Horseshoe Cellar 70 cases made, I think it's just the start of something pretty fucking cool happening on the Riesling scene in Ontario.
Okay,
And
I just realized you said 70 cases made, so now I'm like, you guys, if you're curious about this wine, you better add it to your build a case early in the month. A lot of members are like, oh, can we wait till we learn about all 7 winemakers and their stories and order at the end of the month? And I'm like, yes, but you can just order like a couple bottles here and there to make sure some of these don't sell out. At 70 cases,
I know, right?
this might be gone in a month.
Okay, so
Oh
I've
my
been
God.
tasting. I've been tasting it this afternoon, and I think I have to crank the score at least half a point because this wine is. I think I underscored it live on the YouTube, and I think this is a 93 points. This is no way it's under 93 points. No,
Well, I agree with you.
I was on
What
glue.
did you rate?
I know,
rate it
92
for?
plus. I know. I
Yeah,
missed.
that
I
half
missed the
a-
mark. I
half a
missed the
point.
mark.
Sometimes when you pop and pour and you're live, maybe.
Yeah. So okay, let's bring the guys because I have so much that I can that I would love to chat about. Hey, the people are tuning in pretty cool here Friday evening. This is a Riesling Friday. Let's go. Let's bring John Daniel, and Scotty here.
Yeah, and then you
because
can
there's
go
some-
back to your
No, I
comfortable
can't
chair.
because someone called and I lost all volume. So that's why
Okay,
I'm
well,
here.
then you sit in this chair. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, guys, this is Scott Woody, John Daniel Steele. So nice to see you guys here. I'm swapping with Carl. Look at this fancy.
I forgot to put don't disturb, so someone disturbed me. There you go. Scotty, Joan, Danielle, guys, how's it going?
That's going great, man.
Really good.
Yeah? Scotty, how's it going, man?
Yeah, doing well, loving life. You know, I'm really happy to
Hey.
be part of this. So thank you.
I mean, it's awesome. Okay, so Scotty, you're tuning in from Kelowna?
Yep, I'm here in East Kelowna. I currently work at Tantalus Vineyards as the vineyard manager there. So I've been here just over 3 years now. And sort of my journey to BC was following Riesling in an ironic way. But yeah.
And there's
I'm
not a ton
here
of
and-
spot that you can land on Riesling in BC. I mean, there's one or two that we can really like quickly name, and it's Tantalus and Synchromesh. Other than that, we're not known for Riesling House, right?
So I wanted to be part of something special here. The site's incredible. The team is outstanding and makes really good wines. And really, you know, Tantalus, the hallmark of Tantalus is their Riesling, their Old Vines Riesling, and the Brut here. And I'm just so proud and happy to be part of it. Really.
You got that right. John Danielle, where are you right now? You're bouncing back and forth. I know you got a good gig here in BC. Are you back east right now, or you're here around us?
No, I'm here in I'm West Kelowna. So I'm only about 20 minutes from Scott, about 35 minutes from you, depending on the traffic. Currently with
You got
Jason
that right,
Parks
depending
Plus-
on the drive.
depending on the traffic's the big one there. I'm currently at Jason Parks working with them here on the west side. I run their member experience and wine education. So really great opportunity to be able to share everything that I know and love about wine and bring some of my knowledge from Niagara, my experiences in Europe to the Okanagan, and also discover all the great wines we have here as well.
You got that right, my man. You got that right. You guys, it's such a cool team, just the two of you to tag together and get your hand on some Grimsby Hillside fruit. I mean, wow, what a feed, guys, because that wine absolutely fucking rock. I love it so much. And let's go back, okay? I want to know, and I'm sure people really want to know, how do you guys know each other from wine school? Or how do you guys met? And how did you come up with the let's go, let's do this, because we both love Riesling. So I want to hear a little bit of a background story here.
Well, I mean, we've known each other for quite some time. We've known each other since 2004, so we're coming up 22 years here that we've known each other. Met in high school.
Sorry, Scotty, I feel it for you.
On Vancouver Island. Yeah, Scott's had to deal with all of this for 22 years. So longest relationship I've ever had, and he's still here, so that's a good sign, I hope. Either he's very patient or a little dumb. We're not quite sure, but the time that we spent together in Niagara, it's been a really fun journey for us. We both sort of have independently stumbled into wine regions for completely different reasons, and yet we still somehow find a way to follow each other. We both ended up in Niagara, again completely independently. We both ended up in BC, again completely independently for different reasons. But it's when we were in Niagara, when we were sort of small babies in the wine industry, working our first job, Scott in the vineyard and working harvests, and me on the tasting bar, sort of developing our love for Canadian wine. We found Riesling in Niagara to be one of the varieties that really stoked our fire. It was actually the 2008 Henry of Pelham Reserve Riesling that we first tried together that really made us go, wow, this is something different than any of the other Rieslings that we've tried. It's something intentional. It's very terroir focused. We at the time probably couldn't have put the words terroir to that, but there was something very Short Hills about it. It was an older style Riesling, so it was showing some of those more diesel-y petrol characteristics, as well as that sort of more aged apple flavor and aroma. And it was a wine that had an intensity not just on the nose, but also on the palate, in a way that we hadn't experienced before. And that kind of kick-started it all. And as we grew in the industry, we tried more and more Riesling. I'll let Scott talk to some of the projects that we did in his backyard and his shed and on his deck and all the small places of the houses that we were renting, just trying to replicate some of these delicious expressions that we had been lucky enough to taste. And
I've heard a bit about those stories, JD. I heard about these catastrophic encounter and some of the fun, also some of the fun anecdote of all that. Like before you get to a 70 cases, a big freaking production of 70 cases, of course you got to go through all of these fun experiences, right? But Scotty, I mean, for you, okay, before you end up here at Tantalus, so like John Daniel is mentioning, your passion from Riesling, like just come, like it's from you growing up in the Niagara industry, because I mean, other than Chardonnay, Riesling is the second or the first, depending on who you talk to, the first grape of a white grape of Ontario. So tell me a little bit about your passion for Riesling.
Yeah, I think for me, like Riesling's always been an important part of wine in Niagara. It's one of the big four, I think, from the 60s when things were first planted. But I think we felt just tasting, like getting to know the region and the producers, that a lot of the Rieslings were sort of taking, they weren't center stage to a lot of conversation in wine in Niagara. At least in terms of like the way you talk about wine, the geekiness of it. Like people weren't talking about small parcels of Riesling and vinifying.
Not the only one who have internet problems, apparently.
Yeah,
Carl.
Exactly, right? Exactly. That made me feel so much better.
I'm back.
He's back. He's back.
So we were trying to, I guess our idea was that we wanted to, we were very obsessed with Riesling in the way that we wanted to treat Riesling like a lot of people treat Chardonnay and Pinot Noir in the industry. There's so many of these Burgundian like houses in Niagara that's what they do, and they barrel select. They pick certain blocks or even certain like rows in the vineyard to make a very special wine, but we weren't really seeing that with Riesling, and we didn't really know why, because in our minds, terroir was such an important part of, expressing Riesling, like talking about Riesling. Like one Riesling from 100 meters away or even 50 meters away was completely different. And it's such a beautiful way, to share a story in the glass. So I think from my side personally, in university in Montreal, I was sort of experimenting with fermentation, mostly beer. And I was looking for something like in my life that was a little more artistic. I was following down a path that was more lab focused, and there was something missing. And I caught on to fermentation and wine and the story of terroir, and it's whole beauty, the intersection of art and science, and with that, focusing on Riesling, the minerality of all. Is very alluring, and JD and I, we have some similar opinions, and in terms of Riesling, it was the hallmark in Niagara for us. And so
guys, I mean, Scott, you nailed something pretty good here when you talk about the Burgundian house and how they treat single vineyard Chardonnay, single vineyard Pinot Noir, what Thomas Batchelder is doing, and so many other now are like doing single vineyard, single clone, and all of that good stuff. I mean, for me, tasting all of these Riesling across Canada, I mean, for me, like definitely Niagara is the center stage of Riesling. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But you mentioned Short Hills, appellation with the Henry of Pelham. I also tasted some incredible stuff from Ilya Senchuk at the Leaning Post from the Lincoln Lake Shore. Sue-Ann, to me, I call often the queen of Riesling. Sue-Ann, with her appellation, where she is. There's also we can't forget about Brian Schmidt at Vineland Estate as well, who does some incredible stuff. So, is there any of you like any like specific sub-region or producer who really impacted your growth in terms of a Riesling passionate?
I think it's more so Thomas Batchelder, like he doesn't make Riesling, and but we were inspired by him in terms of philosophy of expressing different terroirs. He does that with the Gamay, the Chardonnay, the Pinot Noir. But I worked at Henry Pelham for a season and also a vintage. And so that's where I got really into Riesling there. And I also worked for Ilya at Leaning Post. I was their vineyard manager for a couple of years. And so a lot of these connections, a lot of these relationships, I just made by working there. So it's more a philosophy of how to treat the vineyard and express the vineyard that I picked up. But no doubt there's some great Riesling that I look up to. 30 Bench is a big one. Emma, we're big fans of. And Charles Baker, I think he's kind of sets the standard for single vineyard Rieslings. So we were tasting a lot of Riesling in Niagara and looking at these producers, but they're mostly just estate places, right? But we're like, well, why isn't anyone doing this like what Thomas does for Riesling? So I think that was the essence behind the brand and the idea behind it. Horseshoe Cellars is actually a place name. Like the Golden Horseshoe, for example, is it's in the same orientation as Lake Ontario. So the whole idea is like eventually when we get there, we'd like to try some Rieslings all around Ontario if we can. But for now, we're starting with the Kelson Block in Grimsby Hillside. When I was working at Leaning Post from 2000 to 2022, I got to know Grimsby Hillside quite well. Ilya buys a lot of fruit there, and I got to know Paul and Josh, and their philosophy is pretty well aligned with ours. And I was very excited about this block in particular. But
So can you tell us a little bit, take us into the process? Because I think like with Carl's Wine Club, we've been featuring wines from Grimsby Hillside that can be Cap Franc, it can be Riesling, Chardonnay. I mean, like there's so like, what is the process to get your hands on a little bit of fruit? Are you there during the growing season? Do you have a row allowed that you're going to oversee and you call the pick? Can you take us into a little bit of the process to get your fruits, and how do you do that and leading up to harvest?
right. You mean like in the context of us being here in BC, I'm guessing? Well, 2024 is actually very interesting because I happened to be in Niagara for the pick with Tantalus because, as you very well know, in 2024, there was a catastrophic winter event that basically eliminated 95% of all fruit in the Okanagan Valley. And with my connections and relationships back in Niagara, I was fortunate enough to be able to travel back. I convinced the winemaking team at Niagara, at Tantalus, that we should be going to Ontario for a Riesling and Chardonnay. And so this is how we started this replacement wine project in 2024. And Grimsby Hillside was a big part of that. So for this vintage, I was on site and making the picking calls and, talking with Josh and Paul about when we should be picking and evaluating the fruit. So while I was making the decisions for Tantalus, I was also there on my own behalf for Horseshoe Cellars. And
John Daniel, you tried to you're putting your hair trying to figure out how the fuck you're going to sell some wine here in BC during that glorious nightmare, right?
I mean that's certainly a big challenge, right? Like we're so committed to the Niagara terroir. Like we have such a strong belief that it is one of the best Riesling terroirs in the world, and we spoke a bit about some of the Rieslings that really inspire us. And I think to your question, there's not necessarily a specific Riesling or a specific site. We have people that we love. We have Rieslings that we love. We can talk about Emma. We can talk about Charles Baker. We can talk about the wines that they're making out of Flat Rock. Some really fantastic Rieslings coming out of the Nagas block there. Across the board, I think you can find beautiful expressions of Riesling in Niagara. So that commitment, even though we both have ended up here in BC after we started this project, it has been a challenge to be doing it from afar, but we're really, really lucky because we have such a great base of human beings that we know from back there. As we mentioned, we came up in the industry in Niagara. Some of our nearest and dearest are there in the area. We're so blessed to have people stepping up, giving us a hand in almost every aspect. I mean, for the pick this year in 2025, last year in 2025, Scott's father showed up to help pick and be around. Scott's brother Todd came down from Stony Creek to take some pictures of the vineyard and kind of show us how things were going along as we were trying to judge when we were going to be making those picks. And then of course we've got the amazing family at Collab Wine and Beverage who have been incredible in allowing us to do what we want to do and be with there every step of the way. So we're incredibly lucky. The boys at Grimsby Hillside have been incredible. We couldn't do it without all of that support back home.
Okay, so now there's twofold here because you just a good lead up through to the collab group because it's an incredible project. Mark Pfister, Jeff Moot, and now you guys and like 7 or 8 more that we're going to feature throughout the whole month. Like a super cool thing. We've never done that before, and to build your case throughout the whole month. But I want to know before we move on to the collab conversation. Let's stick with the Grimsby Hillside. I want to know what makes the Kelson block special. Okay, we'll get back to Scott. Scott, it's your experience is in the vineyard. That's what you do. JD, I'm going to get back to you right away. There's so many things that you do right in the industry. But Scott, what makes the Kelson block special? Because when I taste this, to me, like the finish makes that wine. and like there's an incredible elegance throughout, but when you get to the finish, there's that chalky finish, that mineral finish that absolutely like keep everything up there, lifted for seconds and seconds. And to me, I would say like 60% of that wine develops on the finish, which is incredible. And there's even a salinity, a little salty finish.
Definitely.
So what's the Kelson Block, I would say, influence on all that?
So the Kelson block isn't an old block necessarily. I think it was planted in 2008, but 21B clone, which is we're big fans of. But the unique thing about Grimsby Hillside, the Kelson block, sorry, is it's the furthest from the escarpment. So if you're at the site, it actually, because it's further down away from the escarpment, it actually gets the most amount of sun of any of the blocks in the whole area. And on top of that, it has really rich clay. If you walk about 100 meters, not even 100 meters, maybe 75 meters south towards the escarpment, you get a much richer, deeper profile with a little more loam soil. And in the Kelson block, it's very much clay. And underneath that, there's a lot of slate. So we're getting interesting interactions where the vines are sort of reduced. They don't have the same access to water that the rest of the vineyard has. I mean, there's a parcel of Pinot Noir and Pinot Gris on either side of this that act very similarly. But it's that stress of the clay from this block that really makes the berries small, the clusters small, the whole vine, all the canopy is a little bit smaller than things you would find closer to the escarpment, and you can taste it. There's a little more concentration there, and for us anyway, when we're tasting the grapes, when we're tasting the wine, there's like this subtle sort of ginger spiciness, and some years, like ripe years, you really get it. In a cooler year or a shortened season, you might not see it quite as much, but there's that texture, there's that interesting and subtle bitterness just on the finish. I think that really adds to the whole complexity of the wine. And I just remember when I was walking through there for sampling all the time for Ilya at Leaning Post, I would, I was curious. I was like, oh, what's this block about? And so I walked through and tasted it, and I was like, wow, that's pretty damn good stuff. Why isn't anyone doing anything with it? But until us, I think in 2023, Trail Estates did a single vineyard wine with it. It was an orange wine. I haven't had the pleasure of tasting it, but them and Paradise Wines, I think, have also made an orange wine. But we're the first to really.
That's funny, Scott. There's a box of Trail on the way. So Trail is on deck. So that's coming soon. And we'll talk about their project at the Grimsby Hillside, because they do Cap Franc as well. And that's funny you mentioned that. But there's one thing. Okay, Thomas Batchelder told me, and also I had that conversation with Ilya. When you can taste a similar finish on different grape varietals, that is true definition of terroir. Absolutely true definition of terroir. And I mean, this wine absolutely shine on the finish. It's incredible. I'm really, really stoked to have this here. Let's talk about the collab project, because you guys are a bunch of really cool people all together. Really, really cool program there. I mean, Mark Pister is a leader there. I think Jeff has a pretty big part. Like we just tasted 10 or 12 of Jeff's wine, led by like the Grimsby Hillside Frontière Bloc Chardonnay. It's absolutely spectacular. He's working with a bunch of Roussan Marsan, Dionier, and all of that stuff. So what's the impact of the team of what you guys do? Because I feel like there's such a good synergy among you guys.
Yeah, I think, the coolest part of the collab project is that it's a space where there's a lot of people like us. So there's a lot of people who are trying to make these very character-driven wines from all across different styles, all across different varieties, and the the opportunity to do that in smaller batches is very difficult in the industry nowadays. Very difficult both in the Okanagan, very difficult both in Niagara, very difficult in Canada in general. And there's a lot of reasons for this. No, yeah. There's a lot of reasons for this. We don't need to get into the politics of it necessarily. But what Collab has offered is it's offered this opportunity for all of these incredibly talented and creative and passionate people who care so much about terroir and about Niagara and about expressing the uniqueness of the wine that we can make out there, the opportunity to make things like 70 cases. I mean, Mark jokes like, we're making wine for sommeliers. Like we're making wines that have a very unique character, a very unique vision, and Collab is what is allowing us to do that, and not just us, but the myriad of brands that are involved, and that to me is something very, very special. And I hope we see more and more of that, because there's so as has been previously discussed many times, wine really is an art form, right? It's like that convergence of art and science, and every artist or every winemaker has their different perspective. And I mean, I think Jeff said it really well when he was talking about it the other day, about how it comes down to like that terroir first, and then vintage, and then varietal, and then vintage. And I think that that is what a lot of these winemakers and artists are working towards. And because every artist has their different perspective, you get these really awesome slight nuances on a core that is this just delicious Niagara wine.
What's the impact of Jeff on the whole group? I think he has his hand, but he helps a lot. The whole group, right? He's pretty well involved with other members of the Collab group, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jeff's just very involved in the project, and I think he's very well respected by all of us, not just because of the delicious wines he makes, but because of his perspective on winemaking and terroir. He's such a good support to all of us, and really glad to have him as part of the team. That's for sure.
I wanted to play a game with you guys, and because Jeff have 15 labels or whatever, and you guys taste each other's wine a lot. What is your favorite? Okay, let's start with Scott. What's your favorite Jeff's wine? I told him that I'm going to play that game with you guys.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I just received a couple weeks ago. I received an order of Divergence wines, and part of the reason was on Chardonnay Day we were pouring lovely wines from all over Canada and the world, and I brought some Niagara examples, and I had his Grimsby Hillside Frontier block. And it was gorgeous, and I've always loved that vineyard, that block specifically. Ilya and of course Thomas have done some great examples from there, but that was a stellar wine. The concentration, the fruit quality that was coming from there, and then the minerality on the end. That's what I'm about for sure.
Scott, I have something for you. We took that wine to Burgundy with us. So we had 60 Canadian wines in Burgundy, and that was one of the standout of the one we had. So
special shout out though to his Semsov. That's a delicious wine.
Yeah. It is.
And the 35 cases MVR this week, I geeked out on it pretty much all week long. This wine is a freaking beauty as well. John Daniel, do you have a favorite one from Jeff?
Well, I mean, in the interest of not picking the same, when we were there in April, we were very lucky to have the opportunity to taste a Picone sparkling that Jeff is doing. So Riesling sparkling comes in a half bottle, and the way that he's done it with the texture and that fruit balance, I found that to be pretty incredible. It's also pretty hard for me not to fall down the sparkling camp. As someone who loves Riesling, you might imagine, I'm a pretty big acid fan. So anything that's going to be bright and zippy is going to bring me joy. But to Scott's point, that Semsov is bloody dynamite.
Awesome. Thank you for answering so candidly on that. So we're going to have throughout the weeks other of your colleagues from Collab that if do you have a shout out for me to say, hey, Carl, keep your eyes open for specific wine because there's so many. I think I got 2 cases that I have to go through and make sure that I don't miss a rock star, something that you have in mind. Please keep me in the loop here. I need to know.
I mean, I would say that with everything that we've tried, I mean, we still have to have a lot to go through as well. I mean, our friend Corey Mio, his wines are incredible. I'm sure you've tasted them before. So definitely there.
Sempre-Mieux Chardonnay. The Chardonnay is pretty. Holy shit, that's good.
Pretty great. He's got a great Viognier as well. Liebling's doing some really awesome stuff that we were lucky enough to try. Battersea as well, EV as well. I mean, it's hard to go wrong. I'm not even just saying this for the marketing chops, but I have not had a bad wine from Collab. So I think you've got your work cut out for you, Carl. You might just have to go through every single bottle in that box.
I know. Fuck, I was hoping that you're going to be more helpful. Jeez.
Carl, I think the other day you were talking about Mark Fogelar's Rieslings. You had the 3 there, and we tried them in April. And I think I'm Team Old Vines.
Okay, and that's funny because I almost mentioned that I had a reminiscence of your Tantalus Old Vines in terms of depth and complexity. I mean, this is different, but completely different. But that kind of crossed my mind when I was tasting that. I'm a texture guy, and I think the Noble from Mark really lit me up.
Yeah.
The texture was holy smokes, they were spectacular. And I think what I'm going to do at some point during the month, I'm going to do a Riesling special, maybe all the Rieslings available so people can order them all, something like that. And there's also something with Viognier and Marsanne. I might do something like that about Rhone Ranger as well among all of you guys. So we're going to play around, but this is definitely the dream for a geek guy like me. I have them all lined up and I'm like, okay, tasting this alongside Mark and all that. It's pretty freaking awesome. And I have to say, I had a couple bottles from Brian Schmidt, the Elevation, that I opened and I put it side by side as well. So I'm really geeking out on Riesling right now. But this, I kicked it up another half a point. It's 93 points. At $35, you guys absolutely nailed it. The balance between acidity and I love the fact there's a little bit of sweetness on the back end, which is so well balanced with the acid. It provides me with a very soft finish, nothing too austere. You guys nailed it. What's the future now? Okay, we talk about it. I'll let you go after that, but we talk about it before that we go live. But I mean, and I knew from the beginning when I saw Kelsen Block, Riesling, and I'm like, okay, this is coming. Someone's going to hump on the wagon and starting to do some single vineyard. And I think that you guys are the perfect team to go around Niagara and provide us, Riesling Geek, a little bit of what Thomas do, highlighting special block, special vineyard around Niagara for Riesling. Is it in the plan?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's as Scott was saying earlier, I mean, that a lot of that inspiration comes from Thomas and the wines that we've tried across terroir. The goal in the next, the 5-year plan, if you were to ask us our 5-year plan, we'll have, 6 to 8 SKUs of Riesling from various terroirs across the peninsula. currently, and I'll let Scott speak a little bit more to tease some of the styles that we're looking at. But we have an in with Picone, as you might imagine, with the incredible Mr. Pistor, and
I'm sure that doesn't end there, though.
Yeah, and that's the plan. Like down the road, we'll start with that, and we've started some conversations with some other vineyard owners and other producers. And the nice thing about our project is that because we're so small batch, it's a pretty easy conversation to kind of dip in and say, hey, this is the project, this is the style. How can we make something work for a ton or 2 tons to be able to show our expression of that. But I'll let Scott tease some of what we have planned for 2026 with the Picone Vineyard.
Yeah, so I think every vineyard sort of has its own character. I don't think we're looking to make necessarily the same style of wine necessarily around Niagara. Riesling has this very cool thing about it where there's the balance of the acid and the sugar, and you can do a lot of different things with that. So, there's possibilities.
The way you display it on the label too. Sorry to cut you off here, but
No
it's
problem.
very well displayed there as well. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that data stuff is important to us. It tells us a lot about the wine and the style and the vintage, and it's sort of for the keen introspective Riesling lover. You can find out a lot about the wine before even drinking it, looking at those data points if you know what you're talking about. And so with Horseshoe Cellars, we want to make different Rieslings throughout Niagara, not necessarily always this off-dry or dry style. We'd be looking anything from sparkling to dry, off-dry, Seuss reserve, the whole gambit. But the first and most important part is, the most important part, though, is knowing the growers. And with growers that respect land and, that have a very similar philosophy. We're not trying to make Riesling just to make Riesling. We want to be part of something special. And so I think next year we will, for 2026 anyway, we'll be conducting our new trials with Picone. I think we're thinking about a brut and potentially a dry old vines version. So stay tuned for the next chapter of Horseshoe Cellars. But I think we got a lot of ideas, a lot of things in our pocket that we could play with. And, JD and I have made a lot of contacts over the years, over the last decade, living and working there. And we're Riesling fanatics. So if there's a good Riesling out there, a good terroir, we'll find it. And we're really excited to continue our story working in Niagara.
You guys are, and thank you for teasing us, because the first iteration, the first release of what you guys are doing, it's from one of the most iconic piece of land in the entire region. We got Grimsby Hillside. This is the Kelson block. It's 93 points. It's very well priced. It's $35. It's 70 cases produced. So, we are very lucky here as a club to have the privilege to feature that across the country to our members. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your passion with us, because this is exactly what we try to do on a monthly basis, is to showcase people in wine like you guys. So thanks a million, man. I really appreciate both of you, and especially this bottle. This is fantastic. Thanks, guys.
Pleasure as always, Carl.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you,
really
Scotty.
happy
We're gonna have to go visit you at Tantalus, and JD. Let's keep in touch, because there's more varietal marathon coming in, and we're gonna let's keep tasting together. I love it, guys. Thank you.
You got my number.
Thanks, guys. And the link is going to be out in a couple of maybe an hour or so. So now we can order for what's left of the Kelson block of the 70 cases. 93-point Carl's Wine Club. John Daniel Steele, Scott Woody. It's Horseshoe Cellar Riesling. Thank you, guys.
Santé.
Santé, merci.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Woohoo!